But you gotta listen to this story, because this is a very nice story. It says, Emily McCarthy, do not tooch. Bubba, I'm reading to you. Boober, Fraggles, ghosts. Bubba, I'm thinking reading is very important. Copyright 1985 by Henson Associates. Chapter 1. Long, long ago, before any of us were around, strange things used to happen. And one of the strangest things that happened was when Septimus Fraggle's ghost haunted Fraggle Rock. Red Fraggle's voice sounded very mysterious. The campfire lit up her face and made her red pigtails glow in the dark. Septimus' ghost would sneak around the rock in the middle of the night. Red lowered her voice to a whisper. He would do all sorts of nasty things, like making all the radishes in the pantry disappear, or filling the Fraggle pond with itchy powder. He was very ugly, too. He was a sort of dingy brown color, and he had fangs and glowing green eyes. And if he came upon a Fraggle who was all alone in the dark, she paused for a moment, he'd jump out behind them and yell, "Boo!" Yipes! Wembley flew up in the air. Moki gasped, and Boober dove under his blanket. Even Gobo, bravest of the brave, explorer of Fraggle Rock, turned a little pale. "Wow, Red," Wembley said when he caught his breath. "You really scared me." "Me too, Red." Moki, Red's roommate, shivered a little. "Great story, Red," Boober grumbled, pulling his head out from under the blanket. "Thanks a lot. Now I'll have nightmares for a week." "Aw, come on," Gobo laughed. "I can't believe you were all scared by a little ghost story. Every Fraggle knows there's no such thing as ghosts." "Gobo Fraggle," Red cried. "You were scared too. Admit it." Gobo just shook his head. He had been scared, but he would never tell Red. "Well, I was scared," said Boober. "I won't get any sleep tonight." "Poor Boober," Moki said. "Of course you will. It's so lovely and peaceful here." "As a matter of fact," she added, yawning, "I'm pretty sleepy myself right now." "Good night, everyone." "Good night," Wembley echoed. "Pleasant dreams," Red said, smiling. "Night," Gobo said, putting out the fire. And the 5 Fraggle friends closed their eyes and settled down. Red, Gobo, Wembley, Moki, and Boober were camping out in Wilderness Cavern along the Fraggle River bank. The whole thing had been Red's idea. Shh, are you listening? Are you listening, Papa? You better be listening, because I'm reading you a story. It's an important story. Okay? It's an important story, pal. Pal? You wanna come here? Yes, you do. Yes, you do wanna come here, because how else are you going to see the pictures? I love you, pal. The whole thing had been Red's idea. "We haven't been camping in ages," she had insisted. "Let's pack a picnic and have an adventure." "Sounds like a great idea," said Gobo. And so the 5 Fraggles found themselves sleeping out under the stalactites that very night. It was dark and still in Wilderness Cavern. Soon all of the Fraggles were asleep, except, that is, for Boober. Boober tossed and turned. I never should have come along on this camp-out, he thought. I hate camp-outs. All these rocks on the ground are giving me a backache. Boober tossed and turned some more. Then he had an idea. Whenever I can't sleep at home, I do laundry, he thought. I think I'll get up and wash something right now. Papa, are you looking? Are you looking at the pages? They're very nice photographs. Somebody painted a lot of time in this book. Somebody did a lot of work in this book, and it looks a nice book. You think it's a nice story? You dying to find out what happens next? Well, tell us a nice boy, 'cause I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you, Bubba. Just, you gotta listen. Just thinking about clean socks made Boober feel better, so he quietly got up, gathered some of his friend's clothes, and walked along the edge of the stream until he found a small pool. Perfect, he thought. He took out his cake of rock soap and began scrubbing Wembley's banana tree shirt. Laundry is so soothing, he said out loud. Yes. Who's there? Boober looked up, startled. Is that you, Red? Moki? But he saw nothing. Oh, well, he said, it must have been the wind. Yes. Boober began to get a little nervous. It had to be the wind, echoing through the tunnels of Fraggle Rock. But he was all alone, and it was very, very dark. The night was filled with strange sounds, and what was that funny shape over there? Boober's fur stood on end. Something was moving near that big rock. Ghosts, he yelled. He dropped the cake of rock soap into the river and ran for his life. What? Huh? Boober? Was that you? A chorus of Fraggle voices greeted him when he got back to the campfire. Down the river. I was washing. It was horrible. A ghost, Boober babbled. Oh, Boober, Red said, shaking her head. It was probably only a rock. It was a ghost, I am sure, Boober cried. I was washing Wembley's shirt in the river when... Is that my shirt? Wembley asked sleepily. Boober looked down. He was still carrying Wembley's soggy shirt in his hands. Yes, he said, but that's not important. The ghosts were... Boober, Gobo interrupted gently. You're here now, and there aren't any ghosts. Why don't you try to forget about the whole thing and get some sleep, okay? Easy for you to say, Boober mumbled. And indeed, Gobo, Red, Wembley, and Moki were soon sound asleep again. But Boober was too nervous to sleep. He stayed up watching for ghosts the whole night long. Chapter 2. Stupid camp-out, Boober muttered to himself the next day while he washed his first load of socks. I should never have gone. My back still hurts, and I got no sleep. And all that talk about ghosts made me a nervous wreck. It will take me weeks to recover. Boober scrubbed harder. And I'm sure I heard something, but no one believes me. I'm so tired. I'll just finish this one load and then take a little nap. Boober finished washing and rinsing the socks and hung them on the line to dry. Then he turned to his laundry basket. There was a pile of laundry on it and another pile on the ground. That's funny, Boober stared at the laundry on the ground for a moment. I wonder whose laundry that is. No one I know in Fraggle Rock wears dingy brown shirts with green spots. As hard as Boober stared, the second pile of laundry didn't go away. Well, it doesn't matter who it belongs to. It has to be washed, he finally sighed. But I'm too tired to do it now. I think I'll nap first and wash later. He yawned a giant yawn. He was just turning toward his bed when he noticed something out of the corner of his eye. The pile of laundry on the ground had moved. Boober rubbed his eyes. It must be my imagination. Laundry can't move. I need some sleep. And that's when the laundry slowly began to float up toward the roof of his cave. Boober's mouth opened wider and wider. He tried to scream, but the sound wouldn't come. Boo, boo, boo. The laundry moaned. That's when Boober got his voice back. Ghosts, he screamed, and passed out cold. It was a ghost, Boober babbled, waving his arms in the air, and it was calling my name. He was standing in the middle of the great hall with his friends around him. That's where he had run, yelling as loud as he could when he woke up. Calm down, Boober, Red shook her head. Ghosts are supposed to say boo, and that sounds like Boober, and you are probably just dreaming anyway. You do have a really vivid imagination, Boober, Moki added, and you told us yourself you were exhausted. Maybe you dropped off to sleep for a moment. Don't tell me I was sleeping, screamed Boober. It was a ghost. Maybe you saw some sort of creature, Wembley suggested, like a big spider fly. Don't tell me what I saw. Boober waved his arms some more. It was a ghost. Oh, come on, Boober, Red shook her head. There is no such thing as ghosts. All you saw was a bunch of old sheets or something. Why don't you just go back and finish your laundry? I'm not going back there alone, Boober cried. Ahem, Gobo cleared his throat, looking at the others. Why don't we come with you, Boober? None of us are afraid of ghosts, are we? Of course not, Red said. I guess not, Wembley agreed. And so, Gobo, Wembley, Red, and Moki followed Boober back to his cave. There, Boober pointed at the entrance. In there. Well, go on in, Gobo said. We're right behind you. Boober hunched his shoulders and shook his head. Not me, he declared. I'm not going in. You're the big explorer, Gobo. You go first. Boober, you are too much, Red exclaimed. She pushed past Gobo. I'm not afraid of your dumb old ghost. And she walked into Boober's cave. Gobo, Wembley, and Moki followed her in. Boober waited outside. After a minute, Red came out again. Boober, she said, why don't you come on in? There's nothing in your cave but laundry. And sure enough, when Boober got inside, all he saw was his basket full of a big pile of laundry. But, there was a pile of dirty laundry on the ground, and it was moving, Boober cried. Poor Boober, Moki said, patting him on the back. You're just exhausted. Why don't you climb into bed and try to get some sleep? Moki led Boober to his bed and tucked him in. Then the 4 Fraggles left. Boober moaned quietly to himself. No one believes me, he thought mournfully. But it was true. I saw it. And as he drifted off to sleep, part of the pile of laundry in Boober's basket shook itself out and floated gently over to Boober's empty wash tub. Boo, 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 Boober, the laundry sighed. Luckily for Boober, he slept through the whole thing. Chapter 4. Boober didn't wake up until late that afternoon. He felt much better. All I needed was some sleep, he thought. Maybe I did imagine the whole thing. He could see his empty wash tub and the pile of laundry sitting in his laundry basket. How could I have been scared of a pile of laundry, he thought, getting up. I love laundry. Oh well, time to finish the wash. Boober filled the tub with hot water and got out a new cake of rock soap. When there were lots of suds in the tub, he turned to his laundry basket. That's when Boober almost fainted for a second time. The laundry was floating above the ground, and it wasn't really laundry at all. It was ghosts, Boober croaked. That's right, a voice sighed. Boo, boo, Boober. We are ghosts, and we are here to be washed. We saw you doing the laundry last night, and you do the best laundry in Fraggle Rock. Boober was so astonished that for a moment he forgot to be scared. That's why you came to my cave? He asked. You wanted to be washed? Yes, replied the ghosts. After all, who likes a dingy brown ghost? And my reputation is that good for laundry? Yes, the ghosts hissed. Throughout Fraggle Rock, they say, if you have dirty wash, send it to Boo, Boo, Boober. Look, Boober said, backing away from the wash tub. I mean, I'm really flattered and all, but now I'd really appreciate it if you'd leave my cave and never come back. Boober squared his shoulders bravely. You're all probably a figment of my imagination anyway. He went on, or you could be caused by a bad radish I ate the other day. You see, every Fraggle knows there's no such thing as ghosts. That's what you think, the ghost said. Oh, please, Boober cried, beginning to shake. Just go away and leave me alone. I'm not a strong Fraggle, and I'm sure ghosts are bad for my digestion. Oh, boo, boo, Boober, the ghost moaned. Don't make us leave, then we'll be dirty forever, and we couldn't stand it. You care about being clean that much? Asked Boober, impressed. Oh, yes, the ghost sniffed. You know, ghosts are very scared of Fraggles. It took all the courage we had to come here. Ghosts are scared of Fraggles? Boober said, astonished. Yes, the ghost replied. Fraggles are so active. They're always jumping around and making lots of noise. Why do you think we always hide in the dark and moan? Fraggles frighten us to death, in a manner of speaking. Boober couldn't believe his ears. All this time, Fraggles had been afraid of ghosts. Look, he finally said, if it means that much to you, I'll wash you. He pointed to the wash tub. Why don't you just, float in? Boober rubbed and scrubbed until the ghosts were as clean as could be. When he was done, they floated out of the wash tub and squeezed themselves dry, trying not to drip on the floor of Boober's cave. Boober thought that was very considerate of them. Ghosts don't have germs, do they? He asked. If we did, we don't anymore, said the ghosts. Thank you, Boo, Boo, Boober? Don't mention it, Boober said, drying his hands. After all, if you want someone to wash you, you might as well go to the best launderer in Fraggle Rock. And I am the best. True, the ghosts agreed. Boober felt very flattered. Then the ghosts floated toward the door of Boober's cave. Goodbye, Boober, they said as they left. May we come again when we get dirty? Of course, Boober said graciously. He was very pleased. After all, how many Fraggles had a reputation for sparkling, clean laundry that extended into the spirit world? And, Boober, the ghost added, could you keep our visit a secret? Being with you was scary enough. We don't think we could handle more than one Fraggle at a time. Of course, Boober agreed. Frankly, I don't think Gobo or Wembley or Moki or Red would believe any of this anyway. Boober waved goodbye to the ghosts and they floated out the door. Then he decided to make a 7-layer radish cake. After all, it had been a busy afternoon and he was feeling hungry. When Red and Moki and Gobo and Wembley came over later to have a piece of radish cake, Red couldn't help asking about Boober's ghosts. Anything creepy or crawly happened to you lately, Boober? She said through a mouthful of cake. Creepy or crawly, Boober replied innocently. You know, you shouldn't talk with your mouth full, Red. You're liable to choke. Red means you're strange visitors, Gobo said. I don't know what you're talking about, Boober said, hiding a little smile. Come on, Moki said, carefully picking up the last crumbs from her plate. It's not nice to tease Boober. They're talking about the ghosts, Boober. Boober looked from Moki to Gobo, and from Gobo to Red, and from Red to Wembley. Then he shrugged. Ghosts, he said. Every Fraggle knows there's no such thing as ghosts.